First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Waharakah, Quadash, and double honors to the apostles of the great millstone that have taught me what I know. And Yahweh Bashemel Shai Brakatham, I can't forget even the bishops on down. And Yahweh Bashemel Shai Brakatham to all of the sincere believers that push His word, which is the 144,000, and including the 1/3, and as well as it's your brother Laban, coming at you with a brief video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go further into this, Lord willing, tomorrow at the camp. And I just want to speak on some news in regards to the relationship with the U.S. and as well as Turkey, and you're going to see why I'm speaking about this, because again, this is very well pointing to the prophecy of how, in the book of Ezekiel 38, Turkey is going to definitely be one of those nations which is going to jump from being a member from the North Atlantic Treaty Organization to being an ally with Russia. All right. So, as we see Turkey and their relation deteriorate, that's going to be the next move eventually. Okay, and that's why that's happening in the first place. So anyway, let's get into it. U.S. wars are making Turkey's relationship with the West politically unattainable. Turkish public opinion of the West dropped due to the Iraq war and has not recovered. And there have been almost consistent issues since, with both sides fanning the flames. The U.S., with its arrogance, and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan for using the disputes for political gain. Beneath the surface, however, they continue to cooperate on a wide range of issues. That might get more difficult, and the fact is the U.S., by supporting Israel's plausible genocide in Gaza, has managed to find an issue that could cause an irreparable break between the West and the vast majority of the Turkish citizens, which could make it politically toxic for Erdogan or anyone else to remain partially aligned with the West. So now, what I want to do is I want to read another point in this article, which is also known as the bigger picture. And so we have over here, as this reads, the bigger picture, Turkey and the West. The number of issues between Ankara and the West over the past few decades are almost too numerous to count. Here's just a brief list. Sanctions and more sanctions. The U.S. sanctions Turkish individuals and companies for aiding Russia. Okay. For aiding Iran, and the U.S. is already threatening to slap on more sanctions over Turkish firms. Exports to Russia. A quick search on the U.S. Treasury Office of Foreign Assets Control site turns up a whopping 232 sanctioned, Turkish individuals or entities. This is not a great look when Turkey is going through its worst economic crises in 2 decades, and that's probably the reason why they're going through their crises, because of the amount of sanctions that's been placed upon them. As I just read to you, 232 sanctions. Of course, it's going to bring a country down to its knees. Since the 1990s, Ankara asked NATO multiple times to deploy early warning systems and Patriot missiles to Turkey, but it never came to pass. In 2017, Russia sold Turkey its S-400 missile defense systems, which are arguably superior to anything the West has. In response to the U.S. expelled Turkey from its F-35 program and sanctioned the country's defense industry organization and its leaders. So, just by reading a few on this, America has been sanctioning Turkey, the very much so, in the later years, especially in the 2000s. So, as we, approach the 2000s, a relationship has been seeming to become more dire, and it's much more dire even right now with the situation that happened in Palestine, if I'm correct, since October the 7th, and that's had an effect in the relationship too, and as well as nations around the world, because of what has happened in Israel, between Israel and Palestine and all of that stuff. It's got America looking crazy, right along with the nation, which is the so-called Israel. People are becoming more aware of that fact, that we are the official Israel that the Bible speaks about. All right. And now what I want to do is I want to read the scripture in the book of Ezekiel 38 in verse 1, as it reads, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, and the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, and all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even the great company, with the bucklers and shield, and all of them handling swords." So all of them nations that split during the time of the Soviet Union, that's coming back in a big way. And what you're gonna have these nations that are gonna be plugged into Russia as well as we have it right now. Iran has a lot of interest with Russia, or should I say vice versa, meaning that we're speaking on the topic of Ezekiel 38. Russia has a lot of interest in Iran, and as well as Ethiopia too. And as it reads, Libya with them, and all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters, which is Turkey, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared for thyself, and thou and all of thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So ever since the Obama administration, since 2014, and I think maybe some years prior, I remember the Russians were sending S-4, S-300s to Syria, and 3 years later down the line, they also sending those same weapons to Turkey. And this is why America sanctioned them from the I think, what is it that I just read it, the F-35 weaponry that they was going to supply to them. So what Russia's been doing is guarding their allies, so to speak. So as time progresses, especially when you're looking at Turkey's economic status right now, which is very bad. Turkey has been playing, the middleman for a while, but it's about to be to the point where they're going to have to switch sides, because being a NATO ally is not helpful for their nation anymore. And just outright, the West is looking crazy right now, and as well as even the state of Israel is looking crazy, and the people of Turkey don't really agree with Israel's stance on how they've dealt with the people in Palestine. Okay, so overall, since that I'm talking about the whole situation over there between Israel and the Palestinians, what it's also led to, and I have to read this as well, it has led to the nations despising the nation of Edom. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read that verse as well. Yes, in verse 2. But let's even read verse 1 though. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom, and we have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, which is to mean insignificant, and thou art greatly despised. And the pride of thine heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And that's why America's been bullying these nations with the sword, because they felt like that we're a power that cannot be taken down. And I like to always say, the American system has been supreme ever since it gathered its independence. So we're talking about under 250 years ever since they've garnered their independence. And ever since that point, they've been at war. And you can research this on the American Revolutionary War's website. And the wars that they fought were wars that they could fight. They never really got into a battle that was, that surrounded, nations that were strong enough to defend themselves, or or their equal. They would always fight nations that were weaker than them. Okay, so right about now, being that we're in the year 2024 and beyond, towards the future, Lord will, it's going to get to the point where the bully is going to be bullied, and that's going to be the end of America. Okay, and this prophecy is basically talking about the spirit of America in general, because you have Edomites that are ruling it with this level of, with this mentality, the sense of pride that's in them, the mentality of pride that's in them, and as it is written that pride go before a fall. Okay, so that's going to be the beginning. So when pride cometh, what's going to come thereafter? The falling. That's the order. So as well as it reads in the book of Proverbs somewhere that pride goeth before a fall. So that's telling you the order. So when you're prideful and you're arrogant, those personality traits leads to a downfall. And Esau is going to be made an example out of greatly. Why pride was not meant for men. The only one that can be proud is the Most High. Verse 4, though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and thou that set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, and would they have not leave some grapes? And that's the spirit, once again, of Esau, is to take as much as they can take and to give back very little in return. But that's not the topic. Let's read verse 7 as this reads, which is the point that I want to build on. Once again, in regards to the topic that I'm dealing with, all of the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border, and the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee, and they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in them. And who have made a confederacy with them? Their other European counterparts. Now, going back to the time of Joseph Stalin, what did you have? You had the formulation of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which came into being after the Second World War. And the reason why that was the case, because they saw that the Eastern Europeans were on the rise, and they felt as though the East, or the Eastern Europeans, were going to basically take over the world with this idea of communism. So this is the reason why you had the formulation of NATO. Okay, so these same NATO nations, or should I say the European Union for that matter, nations that joined from the European Union have been confederates under America is going to turn their backs on America. That's also mentioned in the book of Revelation, the 17th chapter, that the 10 horns, these shall hate the whore. The whore is referring to America, and what, as it reads, they shall burn her with fire. So when you look at it from a geo-military standpoint, militarily, America's going to stand by themselves. They're not going to have no allies to defend them when it's all said and done. All right, and you can see that, and that's why certain countries that are supposed to be allied with America has been found doing business with Russia in secret. Because it's all leading up to what the purpose of the Lord is, and the purpose of the Lord. And when I say the Lord, of course, because you got you got the lords of this and the lords of that, right? But of course, I mean, those of you that know this truth and all of that stuff, you know what I'm talking about. But for new people that's just coming in, or people unawares that's just coming in, when I say the Lord, I'm talking about the creator of heavens and earth, the same power that claimed himself to be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So the Lord's purpose is going to stand, and which will be the case of America's destruction and just the whole Western civilization as you know it as. Okay. So like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to further go into this, Lord willing, at the camp. And as well as Lord willing, the live will be edifying to you brothers and you sisters that watch it. And what I'll do is I'll post the link in the description box so you can see where we're going to be going live on, because maybe some of you brothers don't know, and you sisters too may not know the main channel that we go live on. All right, so that's all I got to say with that. I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wahavrakah, Quadash, and as well as giving double honors to that apostles of the great millstone that have taught me what I know, including the bishops on down, and Yahweh Bahashemel Shai Brakatham, to the 144,000, those that are sincere, and as well as to those that are following the 144,000, whom is the 1/3 as well. All right, Shalom.